जितने होटल थे और जितने मकानात थे तमाम की तमाम मुकम्मल तौर पर तबाह हो गए हैं।
अच्छा मैं
This is the Median Valley on Wednesday. These exclusive pictures show for the first time how this tranquil location in the heart of the Swat Valley is inundated by millions of gallons of rainwater. Wave upon wave storming through the gorge. The River Swat and the buildings on the banks unable to cope with the strain. This is one of many popular tourist locations.
Good evening. The warning tonight is blunt and urgent. The worst floods in memory are threatening one of the world's most dangerous places. Huge chunks of Pakistan have been swallowed by monsoon rains, and the United Nations says that millions of lives are at risk.
We find another family. There are 15 of them. A boy's leg is broken. An infant is sick. Just this morning, not far from here, a baby drowned.
The Navy here has rescued thousands of people, but there are still thousands just like them who are stranded. And this is one of hundreds of lakes that these floods have created. And to give you a sense of the scale of this disaster, just this lake alone is bigger than Delaware.
That's the biggest problem. The flood hit so quickly. There are few shelters, few relief workers, and little hope. In town, people are living by the side of the road, sleeping under propped up beds. And they're living in a former school turned dirty and squalid relief camp.
Tell me what happened to your youngest son.
He died yesterday morning, he says. He died of vomiting and diarrhea. Aid agencies and the government are overwhelmed. 6 million children have been affected. 2 million people are homeless. And 16% of the entire country is underwater. And millions continue to wait for relief that hasn't arrived. Nick Schifrin, ABC News, Sucker, Pakistan.
The rains may have stopped, but parts of Pakistan struggle to hold on after the country's biggest floods in 80 years. Over 3 million people have been affected by the floods, which came from heavy monsoon rains.
We all ran away because of the floods. We didn't bring anything with us. Our school was destroyed. That means I won't be able to go back to school for a long time.
A reality facing scores of Pakistani children. Facing the immediate threats of malnutrition and disease, the young flood victims are already among the most vulnerable in the ongoing crisis. 500 students used to attend classes here, and they may stay home for some time, because even after the flood waters recede, the rebuilding process won't happen overnight. Questions that don't seem to have answers for now. No doubt there are other priorities before the educational infrastructure can be rebuilt, but it is yet another of the long-term challenges on the road to recovery.
Water everywhere, none to drink, and now even more deadly. A case of cholera has been confirmed in Pakistan, and it's not expected to be an isolated incident. The Pakistani Prime Minister said that 20 million people have been affected by the floods, much higher than the UN estimate of 14 million.
All our houses were swept away due to the floodwater. All my grain, wheat, cattle and all household items were swept away. No one came to help us, not even from the government. We've got nothing to eat and we're fed up.
Hundreds of thousands of homes and farmland have been destroyed.
It's a very, very big one, and I myself don't know how to quite help to tackle it yet, but just keep asking questions and do what you can.
Fusion of a train station in Multan, Punjab. Like many in the country, her child now faces an uncertain future. The lives of many here hang by a thread. 1 in 10 people, a total of at least 14 million, have been affected. They've lost their homes, their livelihoods, their relatives. The UN warns that though the number who've died is lower than other disasters, there'll be a second wave of deaths unless help comes, and fast. They've asked for $460 million to meet food, sanitation and shelter needs.
Unless aid activities continue to be rapidly scaled up to reach those who remain displaced and without immediate access to food and clean drinking water, additional loss of human lives and further suffering will occur.
The Muslim month of Ramadan is beginning, though many here are already fasting. We'll fast even if we have nothing to eat except dirt and ashes, this woman says. We're Muslims, we always fast. Just some of the 2 million people who've been displaced by the rising waters, from the northern mountains to the plains of Sindh. For the next generation, the floods of 2010 will be their very first memories. Stephanie Holmes, BBC News.